Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for tuning in. I gotta tell you, it's the middle of winter and I'm sitting here looking at a bunch of different tackle and thinking about different winter baits and things that I'm gonna want to try when I get down to Sam Rayburn Lake. And one of those baits has a little backstory to it for me. It's a bait that it's really started out as an ice fishing lure and has become very much an open water bait that has a lot of notoriety amongst a small group of guys, kind of various around the country. And it's starting to get a lot more recognition, but it's still a bait that does not get used as much as it should. And before I reveal what bait that is, and I know most of you already know what it is based on the thumbnail, but I want to remind you guys that if you're looking for a lake breakdown, head down into my description for the video, click the link that goes to fishthemoment.com, and that'll take you to all of the lake breakdowns that I've done, as well as Randy Blockett and Johnny himself. I'm specializing in doing northern bodies of water for largemouth and smallmouth, as well as southern bodies of water for smallmouth specifically. So if that interests you, go to that link. Also, if there's a lake that you want me to do a breakdown for, there's a way to do that on the Fish the Moment website as well. All right, guys, so I got to tell you a story. When I was back probably 10, 11, 12 years old, I walked into a bait shop in northern Wisconsin with my dad, and I ended up finding a bait in a sales bin, and this would have been probably July or early August. I found a bait, purchased it. It was in the sales bin for, a couple bucks at the time. This is not the exact one, but this is a similar one. The one I bought was Fire Tiger. And when I purchased it, the gentleman behind the counter asked me why I was buying that when we were in the middle of summer. And I said, well, because it looked like it would be good. Me being 12 years old, I had no idea, but it was, a little minnow bait, and it was Fire Tiger, and that was cool to me, so I went ahead and purchased it. Went out fishing with my dad that day, tied it on, dropped it down below the boat, and proceeded to catch fish after fish after fish on a little tiny jigging wrap. And at that, the one I bought, this is a jigging shad wrap. The one I bought was a jigging wrap. I got one here somewhere in a much smaller size, but it was similar to this one, only a much smaller size. And when I say I caught fish after fish after fish, they were almost all perch, couple bluegill, couple crappie. I may have caught one or two bass mixed in. And I was literally vertically jigging it under the rowboat that I was in, and probably in 6 to 8 feet of weed. I was jigging it around green cabbage stalks, and I was catching fish after fish after fish, and I was hooked on it. But I gotta tell you, when I left that bait shop, I felt like maybe I had bought something that was not gonna work and was a stupid purchase on my part, because I was told by the guy behind the counter that it was made for ice fishing. Well, it very much is an ice fishing bait. People up here in the North Country catch all kinds of fish on various forms of jigging wraps. So much so now that it's one of the most common ice fishing baits, and there are lots of companies that make them. But it has also really gained a lot of attention for winter fishing throughout the rest of the country that does not have ice on top of their water. It is a bait that allows you to fish very quickly, very deeply, and cover a lot of water. And if you've got fish that are feeding on schools of shad that are in deep water, you can vertically fish this really well over their heads, and you will catch everything on it. You will catch all different types of bass. You'll catch walleye, you'll catch white bass, crappie. It doesn't really matter. It seems like most species of fish will eat it. And it really is pretty much a do-nothing bait. So first, I just want to tell you about some of the ones that I utilize, my favorite ones. I've got here, I've already showed you the old school jigging wrap. This is an old one that I have that's actually gotten tarnished. As you can see, some of the color is starting to fade in the back, which, if you live up around me, actually works better for smallmouth. I prefer that tarnished look over like the straight clown color, the metallic clown cover. But that's just me. Rapala is they come out with a shad wrap style version, so it's a little shorter body, a little wider, got a little bit more height to it. So that's a popular one. Moonshine Lures is one that has gained a lot of notoriety recently, and that's one that's very popular. They're based out of Michigan, I believe. Yep, Perkins, Michigan. And then another one that's gotten a lot of attention around my area is this Phantom Tilly. And you can see that this is a wider bodied one, but it's hollow and it's got a rattle. So it's got a rattle on the inside. It's not a real loud one. It's stuck to my finger. But it's got a rattle in it, which right now apparently is not going too well. There it goes. So it's just a little bit different sound. It allows, because it's wider, it glides a little bit more. It really does seem like it goes. It's got a bigger tail than a lot of the other baits. And I've caught a lot of fish on it. I've only used it for a year, but you can see how big the tail difference is. So it really does glide well. And because it's like a plastic versus a lead body, it seems like it glides better. It does not fall quite as fast either. But all of those are very good baits. There's other ones that are on the market now as well. Most ice fishing companies do make one at this point because they work so well. But for me, when I fish these, I'm usually going to be vertically fishing them. You can cast them. You can jig, like rip jig them back to the boat. They work from that standpoint as well. But I prefer to get right over the fish and vertically fish them to the point where I'm basically dead sticking it. I will let that bait just fall and I'll just hold it still, because even if you think you're holding it still, these baits are just known to glide. So they'll just kind of be gliding around. If that's not generating the strikes, at that point, then I will impart some ripping action to get a little bit of motion out of it. But you got to remember, this bait doesn't vibrate. It doesn't do anything. So when you rip it up, the triggering motion isn't the fact that the bait's, creating some sort of vibration. It's the fact that it just is going to glide back down, and it's moving quick because it's so heavy. It's really just trying to get the fish to react to it and eat it. So those are the ways I'm fishing. I'm looking for bait, I'm looking for marks, and I'm dropping down to it. It's very similar to fishing the Demiki rig, where you're dropping a bait down and you're kind of holding it still, letting the fish come investigate and then eat it, because it is a rather lifelike looking bait. From a tackle rod and reel perspective, I use it on spinning gear. I'm going to be throwing it on a 7.3 medium light to medium action rod. I'll have braid to probably about a 15-foot leader of anywhere from 6 to 10 pound 100% Berkeley fluorocarbon line. And then I'll be using a fast reel. I like the Revo Rocket with these because since it's a vertical presentation, I want to be able to reel it in quick and drop it down quick. And that's where I like the Revo Rockets for that. But guys, you got to give it a try. If you're out winter fishing right now and you've got fish that are grouped up, and we're just starting to get some real good cool weather across the country now where water temps are dropping, you're going to have a lot of fish pulling off the bank. You got to think about using these jigging wrap style baits. They really do generate a lot of bites. They're not just an ice fishing bait, and they're not just a bass bait. I mean, like I said, they catch all different species, which is one of the reasons I like to use them. Because even if you're having a slow day bass fishing, you might be catching crappie, you might be catching walleye and other species mixed in. And it's amazing, you look at the hook contraption on it and you're like, well, I don't know if the hookup percentage is going to be really good, but it is very good, because usually when they do eat it, especially bass, they'll get the treble hook as well as the front or rear single hook. So it's a bait that you don't want to rule out. It is kind of funky looking, but I'm telling you, once you give it some time, you utilize it, you'll see that it generates strikes, and it's one of the best wintertime baits that's on the market. But it's not even a wintertime bait. When I was using it, my first experience was in the middle of summer, and I was catching fish hand over fist on it. I mean, it was really amazing to me. So you can use it year round. It just seems to really shine during the coldest water periods. So guys, thanks for watching. Get yourself some jigging wraps. If you're looking for some, the Reel Shot, and I'll put the link, has tons and tons of custom colors. And again, like I said, guys up here go crazy for them because of ice fishing. but a lot of those custom colors you won't find anywhere else. So it's worth it if you do like using this technique down south. So guys, check them out. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and stay tuned for tomorrow's. Thanks for watching.